So when it comes to freedom of speech and restrictions on freedom of speech and what the government are trying to dictate that us, the British public, can view, the one thing that didn't even cross my mind, didn't even go into the back of my brain, was that they'd try and restrict art. Now, I grew up listening to artists like Eminem, listening to bands like Slipknot, listening to some stuff that for the most part could be considered pretty adult-related music. And for the most part, ignore the mask, I think I came out okay. Because at a young age, you don't really understand what these people are talking about. You don't understand like what people are rapping about, singing about, screaming about. You don't really understand the context. So for you just like the music, and then as you get older you understand things a bit better, and that's just a normal part of growing up listening to music. And music in itself can be cathartic for young people, especially if people have stuff going on in their life. Music can help be a release, an expression, and a way to connect with the world through a set of headphones. While the government don't share the same sentiment, Spotify are going to be bending to the Online Safety Act and introducing age verification on the Spotify app to listen to music. Now, we can still own CDs, we can still do all of this stuff, and I know there's ways to get around listening to music. Of course there is. You can own physical media, but Spotify and Apple Music, between the two of them, they're the biggest streaming service for music in the whole entire world. And that's the way that most people consume music now, because it's purely convenient. And they want to implement age restrictions on this to prevent young people from accessing music that the government don't feel that young people should be listening to. Now, before we dive into the actual news article about this and go into some of the detail, I want to say this song here, Pumped Up Kicks, this has been blasted all over radio stations for years now. One of the best songs of all time. Well, it's actually about school shootings. Yes. Look at the lyrics. And this is how the medium of art works. Things are subjective, and subjectivity also applies to the rule of offense. If something offends you, well, that is a you problem, not the person that offended you. And the same thing applies to music. The way that you perceive music doesn't matter. What the artist's intent was should matter. And if the government are going to hold a perceived value on what that is, then why isn't all music banned? We're probably not far away from that at this point. Now, before we get into this, there is a way around all of these restrictions. If you use the link down below and download private internet access, you get 4 months free and 80+% off. So use the link. It really helps the channel, really does help the channel. So I'd appreciate that. And yeah, let's get on with the video. All right, let's take a look at the article and let's just read our own misery. Millions of Spotify users may have their accounts deleted in wake of UK's porn crackdown. Spotify users could have their accounts deleted following the new Online Safety Act. Millions of Spotify users are in danger of having their accounts terminated as the streamer introduces new rules following the Online Safety Act. Christian Calgi of the Daily Express was the first to spot the new laws around this, posting to X saying your Spotify account is getting deleted unless you do an age verification. Calgi linked to Spotify's new support page around the age-restricted content and checking your age. Spotify's new guidance states that when trying to access what they consider to be 18+ content on the platform, you'll be prompted to do an age check. This will see users asked to carry out a facial age estimation, and if that fails, an ID verification. It's absolutely insane. Spotify stated that if you don't pass the age checks, your account will be deleted in a move that could affect millions across the UK. It is, however, stressed that your account will only be deleted if you try to access 18+ content, then the failed checks. Spotify is by far the most popular music streaming service worldwide with 696 million users compared to Apple Music's 93 million. I just want to point out here, it is parents' job to parent. If you don't want your kids listening to certain music, watching certain movies, or playing certain games, don't allow them to have access to it. On games consoles, there's parental controls. On phones, there's parental controls. You can give your child Spotify and populate their library for them, and then just turn off the ability to save music to the app. There's so many different ways that parents can actually intervene with what children listen to, that what the government's doing right now is just so authoritarian. Now, this begs the question, they've already got gaming with Xbox now introducing their age verification system, which they're rolling out now, but it comes into effect fully in May next year, which is conveniently when the next Grand Theft Auto comes out, which will be the biggest selling game of all time. And then on top of that, other companies are going to be following suit. PlayStation's going to be following suit. And also they're looking at introducing this in other countries other than the UK. They want to introduce this across all their different platforms. What's happened here is very simple. A UK law has set a precedent within companies, and it's easier for companies to, rather than have multiple standards for their platform, just to have one system that they have, which they roll out across all their countries. The UK law is now going to start affecting the rest of the world, therefore making this, the Online Safety Act, normalized, which is a huge problem. Huge problem. I'm really keen to hear what your thoughts are on this down below, so drop a comment and let me know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.